Hey guys, it's Channel Weird, and I'm Clyde Lewis. I got a great guest today. I gotta say, the reason why he's such a great guest is because, well, he's a Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter. He's written, scored, music design for The Watchers, and gosh, so many things I could list off that make this a very important guest. Very, I don't know. I mean, there's a whole list of things that I was given, but we'll have him tell his story. But Johnny Cobb with us today on Channel Weird. It's good to have him here with us. Johnny, you there? You
Yes,
out there?
sir. Yes, sir.
Johnny, oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm really excited to talk with you.
This is truly an honor because I've been listening to you for years, and just to actually see your face and hear your voice, person to person, is all it makes our world.
Yeah, there are a lot of music guys that listen to the show. I guess because of the fact that the sound design, and you're good at sound design. So I'm talking to a pro here. But we were talking earlier before we even did the show, and you have a background. You worked with a lot of great people in the business, Etta James, and gosh, I could go down the list of everybody that you've. Garth Brooks. Just so many people. The Allman Brothers. I mean, come on. There's so many people that you've worked with over the years, and I'm noticing some things, and I wanted your comment on it. A lot of rock stars now are retiring. I just found out that David Lee Roth is retiring. And of course, Kiss is doing their end of the road tour. My staff and I just went and saw them perform in Ridgefield. And it's really kind of bittersweet. It's sad. Oh, and I was just reading about Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger was in North Carolina, I guess, at a bar. And nobody saw him. Nobody knew it was him, I guess. They were just, drinking their beers, not caring. Mick was just sipping a beer, and they had a picture of him there. And I see myself here going, I never thought I'd see the day. I mean, I'm sure it's bittersweet when the Beatles broke up, and we don't hear much from Led Zeppelin anymore, and some other bands, of course, are touring without their original members because, like Charlie Watts has died, and I remember when the Who, when Keith Moon left, or when he died, and when John Entwistle died, it just was heartbreaking to see these bands that you grew up and loved, breaking up because of death, or even AC/DC too. I mean, I'm just going down the list of these bands, but the ones that could keep going, the Stones are still going strong. But Kiss could go another year or two. I mean, even though some people say get off the stage because Paul Stanley's voice is kind of dying down a little bit. Let's face it. I mean, you got two other guys playing the Ace, the Spaceman and the Cat, and it's kind of like Peter Criss and Ace Frehley were in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they're not in the band anymore. But give me your opinion on what is going on with music. I mean, is rock and roll dying? Is soul dying? We're not getting any soul music anymore. No rock and roll. At least that's the way I feel. What do you think?
I'm still living in the mind state of the Ramones.
Because, well, it's another band. They're not around anymore because they all died. It's
yeah, and just before they hit the market, music was becoming really boring and kind of cookie cutter. Then when they came out and that whole scene started, it kind of disrupted it. It's what rock disruption of the norm. And you see right in the back, I have my Stones poster of that's from a show that I attended in Raleigh. And the cool thing about it, I think what's happening, a lot of these mega groups like you're talking about, they're financially stable, but I think they want to play until they assume room temperature, until they're definitely horizontal. I think they actually are playing like they're back in high school, like they enjoy each other's company.
But look at Mick Jagger. I mean, look, he moves around still. How old is he? Is he pushing 80, right? And he's moving around like nobody's business?
I think he's, 79 now?
Yeah, he's pushing 80. And look, you look at all these other, I don't know how old David Lee Roth is, but I know that the members of Kiss are in their 70s. I mean, my dad would not put on makeup and armor and go out and play like that. And he's dead now. He was in his 70s, and I couldn't see my dad doing something like that. But they put on the makeup, and immediately they go back to 1977. It's crazy.
And it brings us back to our teenage years, watching them. One of the cutest things that it actually brought tears to my eyes when I saw the Stones, they did the whole show, and at the end of the show, Mick decides to introduce the band. You probably saw the same thing when you saw. But
I was at Voodoo Lounge. Yeah, I saw the Voodoo Lounge.
Well, you probably know this whole routine. You introduced the side guys, the horn section, and Chuck on keyboards, and the bass player. And then he introduced Ron, and Ron comes out and does the majestic bow, the rock star bow, holds the guitar up, and just engulfs everybody's attention. And then he introduces Charlie, and Charlie was off to the side of the stage, and he just kind of stuck his head out the curtain and kind of waved. Mick went over to the side of the stage, pulled him out to the center of the stage, fixed his collar, pushed his hair back, and held him there so we got applaud for him. And it was so sweet just to see that occur. And then when he brought Keith out, never hearing his voice outside of singing, I didn't know what his voice was going to be. And he was like George Burns. He was like, I'm just so happy to be here.
And it's funny because Keith Richards, when I saw him, he performed in Salt Lake City. We were at Rice Stadium is where he performed at the University of Utah. And they hadn't been in Utah since they performed at Lagoon Amusement Park in the 1960s. And it was funny because they introduced Keith. Keith came out. Keith plays a chord. You're like, oh my gosh, it's Keith Richards. And he says something like, hello, Salt Lake City. Long time no see. And he starts playing. It's like, my God. And it was so funny because it's like true. I mean, we hadn't seen the Stones, and now here I was seeing the Stones. And it's just so magical to be able to go to a show and see these guys because, you were too young to see them when they were in their prime, but they're still going. I mean, the Stones, like you said, they're going to be playing. I mean, I'm sure Charlie Watts is still playing, and he's horizontal. It just seems like they just don't want to stop playing. And that's not a bad thing because I think the Stones still got it. But I just worry, that a lot of these bands that could keep going, could. But I think they're just tired. And I'm wondering if like you say, they're sustainable. But I'm wondering if the money's still there anymore because you're looking around. And someone once told me when they were watching the Grammys, they said something to the effect is, I don't know half the people that are on the Grammys now. And I'm thinking, am I that old to not know? And I have a 15-year-old that's turning me on to Kanye and turning me on to Kid Cudi and turning me on to all these, hip hop people. Yeah. And still, I don't have, even though I listen to them and I enjoy some of the music design that Kanye does, I still am not warming up to them as much as I would warm up to maybe like Lynyrd Skynyrd or warming up to Aerosmith or somebody like that. And I think it just dates me. It makes me, I don't know if it makes me irrelevant. I mean, I had my son one time. I took my blood son that I have that I see every once in a while. I took him to a Kiss concert, and he looked at me and he says, Dad, I want to tell you, you're relevant. That's the best thing he could have said to me. I mean, that's the best compliment you could get from your son who's in his 30s. Dad, you're relevant. I'm going, yes, I'm relevant. So I get a Kiss concert. And I'm thinking, how relevant really am I if I'm still listening to dinosaur rock? And I still like Alice Cooper, and I still like, I mean, I went to Rob Zombie, and I love that. I was very surprised at how much I didn't like Marilyn Manson in concert, but because I like Marilyn Manson's music. But it's like, there's some sort of end to this, and it's scaring me. What about you?
The word that you use that I always use over and over is magical. It seems like when the Beatles came out and that whole British invasion happened, and all those groups, like you said, Skinner and Allman Brothers, all those groups back then had this thing where you're actually waiting for their next album because you knew they were going to take you on a journey and they're going to enlighten you to things that you were unfamiliar with. And I know that every time a Beatle album come out, I was like, wow, where are they going to take us? And it was always a trip because one song was different from the other, but every song was meticulously recorded and produced. And look at the two guys that have stayed at the forefront, Paul and Ringo. And it's weird as you said about Lynyrd Skynyrd because I just watched the documentary on them night before last.
Yeah, I was watching it too, actually. Yeah.
Oh, really? It's enlightening, but it's sad and kind of dark.
Yeah.
But being around the Allman Brothers, I can tell you a Dickie Betts story that if you want me to tell you something about.
Like about Dickie Betts. What's up?
Well, I lived most of my life in Nashville, and I actually moved there with Ronnie Millsap before he went country. So I was with Ronnie during his heyday of having all the hit records and touring and recording. But during that time, I signed a record deal in L.A. On Asylum Records. You're probably familiar with them, with the same label the Eagles on. Yeah. And but Dickie came to Nashville, and Chips Moman, who was Elvis's producer and produced Willie Nelson, was producing a semi-country rock solo album, Dickie. Well, Next thing I knew, the publisher called and said, "You want to go to the studio and meet Dickie Betts because he's recorded 3 of your songs on his solo album." My partner and I went over to the record studio, and you can imagine at that particular time, the console looked like it had been snowing in the control room.
Oh my
And
God.
so we came in and we sat down, like the control board was behind us. Dickie was out there in the front. I could see him through the window, and he was doing his lead guitar parts on one of my songs. I was like, wow, this is great timing. We get to hear him put the Dickie Betts lead on one of our songs. And Clyde, my heart sunk to the bottom of the room. And Dickie's guitar was out of tune.
Oh.
But they were so in another atmosphere that nobody was telling Dickie, they didn't want to upset the star. And so when we finished, Dickie came out to the coffee room. I said, well, thank you for recording the songs. And I was happy about him recording songs, but I was disappointed that it didn't have that Dickie Betts lead that you waited for.
Right.
And so I was started to walk out the door to the parking lot, and I turned back around. I said, Dickie, can I talk to you really? I just met him. Dickie has a notorious reputation of punching his best friends out. And I was just barely an acquaintance. So basically, I just kind of took him over the corner. I said, it might be me, but I believe one or two of your strings lead on that last song was a little bit flat. Man, he looked at me like looking through a wall. I was like, oh, geez, I blew it. I did something I should have said. So I thought, well, I've done my damage here. So I turned around, walked out, got in the car with my partner, and I was sitting on the passenger side. And Mike said, would you just go back there and tell him? And I told him, he said, Cobb, are you out of your mind? Why'd you do that? And so basically, I looked up at the front of the studio. Standing in the doorway was Dickie.
Yeah.
He started walking toward the car to my side. My buddy Mike said, okay, you've pissed him off. Now he's going to come out here and knock you out, man. He came up to my window, and he went, roll your window down. So I rolled the window down. I was like, okay, brace for the hit. And he said, man, Johnny, where you going? And I said, well, I've done enough damage here today. He said, get back inside. So, man, he took me back inside. He told Chips, he said, Chips, I want to do my solo again on that last song. And Chips go, that's the producer. He said, man, it was great. He said, no, I want to do it again. He didn't tell him the reason why. But then I thought, whoa, he's going to do his lead again. So, and then Betts come over to me he took me out to the studio, set me in front of the Marshall amp. I mean, I'm like sitting right here, and there's that Marshall. And Dickie, he didn't have a tuner. So I was over there at the piano going ding, 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 ding. And he was going ding, 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 ding. I thought, this is ridiculous. He tuned his guitar. And Clyde, I started to get up and go back to the studio part of it. He said, no, you can sit right here in front of the amp. And so he played his lead, and it was one of those Dickie Betts leads. It was like one of those kind that slowly built up to a crescendo and then just took you up to blue skies, like a rambling man kind of. And I thought, wow. So basically, when he finished that, everybody in the control room was like, oh, my God, Dickie, that was great. The topper of this was, as we're walking out, I felt really good about him being nice enough guy to take what I said with a grain of salt and go out there and redo it on one of our songs. But then he came over and he said, I'm going to ask you a question. How'd you like to co-produce the Allman Brothers' new album, which is signed with Clive Davis on Arista, and we're going to be all meeting in Sarasota in a couple of weeks? I thought he was just jiving me. I said, oh, that'd be great. 2 days later, I got a plane ticket, flew to Sarasota, met Greg, Butch, Shamo came and played, and Rook Goldflies was on bass during that time. But basically, Dickie, he never punched me out, but he was responsible for me being a co-producer and co-writer on that Reach for the Sky album with Clive. And I don't know to this day why he did that.
I think maybe, there's a lot of respect, perhaps, and a lot of, when you're being honest with someone, they're not used to honesty. They're used to yes men, right? And, I think that maybe there was something about the reason why he didn't punch you is probably because there's something that he saw in you. And I think that's something, that's amazing. That's a great story. Johnny Cobb with us. And it's such an honor to have him with us on Channel Weird. We're going to be back with more Johnny Cobb and a lot of cool stuff to talk about with the music industry and more right here on Channel Weird. Stay tuned. On the phone with me is Ronnie from getthetea.com. Hey, Ronnie, it is the tea that makes you go, I know this because I use it. My favorite is pomegranate. What kind of flavors are there to choose from with this wonderful tea?
You can do pomegranate. You can do just the straight, which is real good. And also we have a mint, a peppermint. People really love that one too. And we have a couple new flavors on the way, which I will not discuss yet, but they're coming.
You know, a lot of people don't know that peppermint is a very, very good supplement to keep the stomach happy. It relaxes the intestines, and once again, it makes you feel better because it allows them to move around and get that stuff out of you, that bad stuff out of you.
Absolutely. This is a digest mover. So people have a hard time digesting stuff, or you get something stuck, or maybe you're a real heavy meat eater. The tea is wonderful. That's why it's tagline, the tea that makes you go.
If I want my life to change and get the tea, where do I go to get it?
Getthetea.com. That's getthetea, TEA.com.
Fantastic. Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis. Have you ever wanted Ground Zero merchandise but didn't know where to go? Well, I want to let you know that we now have our own online store with such items as t-shirts, hoodies, decals, tote bags, and other exclusive specialty apparel. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. Coming soon will be signed posters and coffee mugs available as we are constantly adding new items. So shop today at the official Ground Zero store by going to groundzeromerch.com. That's groundzeromerch.com. It's all over the news, food shortages and scarcity in the supply chain. And the reality is nobody truly knows what might happen in the near future. Hi, I'm Clyde Lewis, and I want to let you know that it's a good idea to plan ahead so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We highly recommend My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. They provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, their foods will be there when you need them most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. They have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from, along with a variety of other survival products. If the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. After you order from My Patriot Supply, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep. Prepare today, because time is short. Go to preparewithgroundzero.com. That's preparewithgroundzero.com.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
It's a well-known fact that controversial talk show hosts have recently been censored and even banned on the internet by corporate and political interests. Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero. And in order to counter the suppression of information, we've decided to create our own private digital playground called Aftermath. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring a social media platform, videos, audio clips, archive shows, research groups, documents, and a news aggregator. In addition, we're hosting other Ground Zero-friendly podcasts like Conspirafact with Wes and Bill, Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, Parawareness with Mr. Gates and Isaac Weishaupt, Opposing Perspective with James Ponder, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine, and several more shows. Mobile apps for Android and Apple are available too. The monthly subscription for Aftermath is only $10 a month. And don't forget to check out the yearly specials, including the Friends and Family Pass with 1 main account and 3 sub-accounts. Sign up now by going to aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
Watch it. The truth shall be revealed. Message on the wind. Vision from within. The truth shall be revealed.
It's Channel Weird, guys, and Johnny Cobb with us. That is the Watcher theme from the show The Watcher. Amazing arrangement, sound design. Johnny Cobb with us here on Channel Weird. Johnny, sound design is something that I love. I love to be able to create soundscapes. I let my producers do it now. Wes Scottco is, on Ground Zero is the chief producer, but I used to always like to dabble in imaging and sound design and imaging. How did it start for you? I mean, for me, it was like I started with a little tape recorder when I was 10 years old, and I knew how to make the sound of bombs. All I did is I would whistle into a microphone and then blow into it, and it sounded like a huge explosion. And I thought, I've created a sound. I'm now a Foley expert, So tell us about sound design and tell us about how you started and how it all works.
Well, I tell you what, there's about 3 steps involved as far as the way I got involved in it. And you're actually one of the main influences. Just the montage that you guys put together on Ground Zero, that was something that I'm always trying to filter through all the different things that are going on to see how you I'd love to watch you put one of those together, from the ground up. But basically, I'd always written full songs for our projects up until about 2 years ago when a friend of ours, David Castle, who's a scriptwriter in Nashville, said there's a new TV show that's going to be put together out of Canada called The Watcher. Mm-hmm. And he said, in addition to writing the theme song, I want you to write some sound designs. And I was like, what is a sound design? And he said, they're like 1 minute instrumentals for the different moods of scenes of a TV show or movies. And Clyde, in real reality, that's always been one of my ambitions to hear our music on the big screen with a movie. Mm-hmm. And so over the last 2 years, my music partner, Jerry McCoy, and I have been via long distance. He lives in Arkansas. I reside in North Carolina. We've been writing these 1 minute instrumental sound designs. And we've actually built up an entire catalog. And I come to you. A lot of times your montages are they're so in depth. It's like you have to listen to it 2 or 3 times to catch all of it, that you're doing. But,
I do something called layering.
Yeah.
It's kind of an old-fashioned way of doing production. And it's funny because Wes has this immense tracking system that he uses. And his montages that he makes are cleaner. They're a lot cleaner. And I like them sounding a little dirtier because for some reason, I think the sound of the dirt, the crack, everything that's, even if it sounds like it's coming through a tin can, I just love that haunting sound. You got to find that haunting sound to make it work. And I feel, I'm not making montages now because I don't have a production computer like Wes has. I want to get back into it again. I'm going to fight tooth and nail to get a production computer eventually. And when I do, I'll be back to making the intricate ground up stuff that you are aware of. You do a minute. We have to do 2 minutes. We do 2 minutes of soundscaping and sound imaging. And it takes us a while. I mean, Wes spends anywhere from 3 to 4 hours putting those together for the show every night.
Yeah, actually, when Ron called me yesterday, I was working on a sound design, not really knowing what it's going to be used for, but the whole idea is we're just trying to build our catalog up so that if somebody calls and says, do you have a sound design that would work for this particular scene? They go, I got 5 of them. Let me send them to you. So we're basically trying to record at least 1 a day and keep it on the catalog. But the cool thing about the Watcher series, they've got the trailer ready to start pitching to Netflix and Lionsgate and all the the outlets. Mm-hmm. But we were on the forefront of knowing about the show before anybody else knew about it, so we had the chance to write the Watcher theme. And the producer, in fact, I want to give credit to 3 people. David Castle is the guy that put us in touch with everybody. In fact, David was the guy responsible in Nashville to give me a record deal with Asylum. Jason Barbeck and Brian Callback are the 2 main characters in the Watcher show, and they were big stars in a Canadian show called the Murdoch Mysteries. I think it ran for like 9 years, but the Watcher show is based on the indigenous First Nations Indian tribe in Canada and all the things that have been swept under the carpet. Yeah. So you got the head of the chief of police, for the nation, and you got an outcast rookie cop that they had to work together to solve crimes. And it's almost like a Mel Gibson movie where you got like high intensity, but you also got a touch of humor in it just to lighten it up.
Yeah.
But, that's pretty much what we do right now is just concentrate on the sound designs.
There's a lot of dark history, I think, and I've reported it, I think, once or twice about the indigenous people, the Catholic schools, all that stuff, that controversy about finding those bodies, and it's like there's such a dark history, like you say, that's swept under the rug about a lot of what goes on in Canada. Here in the United States, I'm sure we're going to find in the future, as everything's unraveling, we're going to find a lot of the darker underbelly of what is going on really behind the scenes. And that's one of the reasons why I always tell people when they say, what's your political affiliation? And I said, well, when you learn of where the money comes from to finance these politicians, when you learn of the blood and the drugs and all of the things that are, passed around in, dark enclaves like in Switzerland and places like that, you tend to say to yourself, you're being led by a group of people that answer to an external synarch. And I worry about that because it really is, people say, well, you're always doom and gloom. Well, no, I'm not. I'm telling you this because, you need to understand that there is a world that's simultaneously living right next to you. You don't know it's there, but it takes people like you to create, the sound images and things of that nature that put people in that mood to know more. And that's why, you can do a TV show or you can do a theme music or something, but if it doesn't have that, je ne sais quoi, if it doesn't have that ability to put people in a mood, then you're not working. You're not doing it. You're just kind of like throwing it together, phoning it in. Exactly. And that was what I said when I wanted to set out to do my talk show. I thought, I'm not going to just do a talk show. I'm going to do a talk show and use art and sound and design in order to make it so people are like, wow, because that's what the radio is for. It's to create that theater of the mind. That's what the TV is for. Even when you see the images, I'm sure that images mean absolutely nothing unless you don't have good sound. And I mean, it's John Williams that kind of gave us that.
Yeah.
Jaws and with Star Wars, right?
Yep. You're exactly right. And you've accomplished what you set out to do. Because every night when I turn on your show, it's like put the seatbelt on because you don't really know where you don't know where you're going to take us.
No.
And it's like unusual and very informative. And I look forward to it each evening.
But see, you've been working on also ufology imaging and things of that nature. Tell me about that. Tell me about that experience because that's another thing. I've been watching this American Horror Story, and they just did this thing with Eisenhower and the aliens, and I was like really moved by it. But then they took it into this modern thing. But just the whole setup of that was terrifying.
I've been very fortunate that some of my closest friends, and I'm going to put Calvin Parker as one at the top.
Yeah.
For some weird reason, Clyde, I had this urge about a year ago that we needed to write a song about Calvin. I became friends with Philip Mandel, his publisher in England, and I told Philip, I said, I don't know why I'm being summoned to do this, but I feel this uncontrolled urge to write a song about Calvin Parker's story. And you think it'd be okay for me to do that? Would Calvin mind if I give it a shot? And Philip said, by all means, do it. So Jerry McCoy and I, long distance, I told him who Calvin Parker was, told him the whole story. And during this time, I became friends on Facebook with Calvin, but it was just basically an acquaintance. I didn't say anything about we're going to write a song about your encounter. Mm-hmm. And basically over about 2 or 3 months, and it turned out that we actually finished the song, and I finished the video for the song within 2 or 3 days of the encounter of when it actually occurred in October of, I think it was 1978 or 79. And had the song all ready. And this is so cute, and it makes my heart skip just to think what he did. But basically, I sent Calvin a private message. I said, Calvin, that special gift I was going to give you, I'm including it on a messenger post. And this is from Jerry McCoy and myself. This is a song about your encounter called Blackwater Blue Moon. Mm-hmm. And so I sent it to him. Just in the time that you would estimate he watched the video on YouTube, my phone rang, and I looked down and it said Mississippi. I'm like, I don't know anybody in Mississippi. Hello, Johnny. This is Calvin Parker. And I was like, Calvin. And he said, I just want to tell you, I'm sitting here with my wife, Waynette, and we just listened to the song. He said, that's the nicest thing anybody's ever done for me in my entire life. And I so appreciate it. And if you listen to the song, I took some of Clyde's ideas. I took some clips from Calvin, put them together, and inserted them as the second verse on. So you actually hear Calvin telling his story for the second verse on Blackwater Blue Moon.
Oh, my God.
He and I have become really close friends. We never met in person.
So you never been to Pascagoula? Were you in Mississippi at all? You gone to Mississippi?
No. When I worked with Millsap on the road, we played somewhere in Mississippi. I cannot tell you where it was, but I stay in touch with Calvin because he's having health issues right now. But usually once a week, I'll give him a phone call. And the strange thing about it, when we wrote that first song, I told Jerry, my partner, I said, man, I'm feeling this urge. We need to write a song for John Burroughs. And we wrote Rendlesham for that. Yeah. And then we wrote Lost Time Highway for the Betty and Barney Hill encounter. And then we wrote a song called, and I asked permission to do this. I said, we wrote a song called Fire in the Sky for Travis. So I called Travis. I said, we're going to write a song. He said, send me the video when you get it finished. And same thing. Look down. I think it's a Snowflake. It was Arizona. I got a
Arizona,
I looked at the place in Arizona. Who do I know from Arizona? And it was like Travis on the phone calling me to tell me thank you. So we recorded like 5 of these songs, and they're all on YouTube. But
they tell a story. That's the thing. I think one of the things. We'll talk about the storytelling that goes into this because I want to go into that, and it's kind of a person who can tell a story. I know Charlie Daniels used to do that, and we'll talk about him. Talk about storytelling in music, especially when we're dealing with things like the Pascagoula, Mississippi incident and others, Benny and Barney Hill. Johnny Cobb with us tonight on Channel Weird. We'll be back.
It's a well-known fact that controversial talk show hosts have recently been censored and even banned on the internet by corporate and political interests. Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero. And in order to counter the suppression of information, we've decided to create our own private digital playground called Aftermath. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring a social media platform, videos, audio clips, archive shows, research groups, documents, and a news aggregator. In addition, we're hosting other Ground Zero friendly podcasts like Conspirafact with Wes and Bill, Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, Pair Awareness with Mr. Gates and Isaac Weishaupt, Opposing Perspective with James Ponder, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine, and several more shows. Mobile apps for Android and Apple are available too. The monthly subscription for Aftermath is only $10 a month. And don't forget to check out the yearly specials, including the Friends and Family Pass with 1 main account and 3 sub-accounts. Sign up now by going to aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
It's all over the news, food shortages and scarcity in the supply chain. And the reality is nobody truly knows what might happen in the near future. Hi, I'm Clyde Lewis, and I want to let you know that it's a good idea to plan ahead so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We highly recommend My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. They provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, their foods will be there when you need them most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. They have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from, along with a variety of other survival products. If the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. After you order from My Patriot Supply, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep. Prepare today, because time is short. Go to preparewithgroundzero.com. That's preparewithgroundzero.com.
Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis. Have you ever wanted Ground Zero merchandise but didn't know where to go? Well, I want to let you know that we now have our own online store with such items as t-shirts, hoodies, decals, tote bags, and other exclusive specialty apparel. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. Coming soon will be signed posters and coffee mugs available as we are constantly adding new items. So shop today at the official Ground Zero store by going to groundzeromerch.com. That's groundzeromerch.com. On the phone with me is Ronnie from getthetea.com. Hey, Ronnie, it is the tea that makes you go, I know this because I use it. My favorite is pomegranate. What kind of flavors are there to choose from with this wonderful tea?
You can do pomegranate. You can do just the straight, which is real good. And also we have a mint, a peppermint. People really love that one too. And we have a couple new flavors on the way, which I will not discuss yet, but they're coming.
You know, a lot of people don't know that peppermint is a very, very good supplement to keep the stomach happy. It relaxes the intestines, and once again, it makes you feel better because it allows them to move around and get that stuff out of you, that bad stuff out of you.
Absolutely. This is a digest mover. So people have a hard time digesting stuff, or you get something stuck, or maybe you're a real heavy meat eater. The tea is wonderful. That's why it's taglined, the tea that makes you go.
If I want my life to change and get the tea, where do I go to get it?
Getthetea.com. That's getthetea, TEA.com.
Fantastic.
Black water, blue moon, strange things happening in Pascagoula. It was an October night, fishing on a Mississippi riverbank. Sky lit up, time stood still, my whole world changed. It's my will we let black water and a blue moon.
Johnny Cobb with us. There you go, Blackwater Blue Moon. It's about the Pascagoula, Mississippi incident. Calvin Parker, when they were fishing in 1973, were abducted by these strange creatures, and amazing storytelling. You know, some of my favorite songs, Johnny, are definitely storytelling songs. I was talking about Charlie Daniels, and I think Woolly Swamp is one of my guilty passions. I was inspired by that song. In fact, when I was a kid in high school, we had a television production class, and we made a video to Woolly Swamp. Even before MTV existed, we made a video to Woolly Swamp, and we thought it was just an interesting story. The other one is Gordon Lightfoot's Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. That's one of the songs that when I listen to it, it's just so haunting about what happened with the Edmund Fitzgerald. And now, you know, here we have this song where you did that with Jerry McCoy, correct?
Yeah. Basically, when we sent it to Calvin, one of the things that just made it all worthwhile was Calvin said, listen, we're talking to some different people about doing a movie about the encounter between him and Charles. And he said, what I would like to do is he said, once again, you know, an author writes a book, but once you sell the rights and Hollywood takes over, he said, I can't guarantee you anything, but he said, if I have my wishes, I like for the movie to be called Blackwater Blue Moon, and I like for this song to be the theme song for the movie. And I was like, Calvin, man, that'd be wonderful if that happened, but if it doesn't happen, we still wrote the song for you. And I told Jerry, like, I'm real meticulous on lyrics, and I know these 4 or 5 stories so well between you and Jimmy and Jeremy and Martin Willis and a handful of people I listen to on a regular basis. I've heard, you know, Travis, I've heard Calvin give his story quite a few times. So I knew certain parts of these songs had to be almost like a recitation where you're talk singing. It's not all about showing how acrobatic
it's storytelling. It's storytelling in a song.
It is. And it's funny that you mentioned Charlie Daniels, because that's one of the first publishing companies I wrote for in Nashville when I moved there was Charlie Daniels' company, Sound 70 Productions. And I wrote for them, I think, for like 2.5 years. And I think I learned from that experience, especially country music back then. Country music right now is kind of like semi-pop, but
Yeah, it is.
you know what I'm saying? And
Uh-huh.
it basically, country music back then was like country, and it was all based on the lyric and the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think living in Nashville for those few years, even though I'm a rock, R&B, soul singer, and and I like Slipknot, I like Metallica. It's like
Right.
I appreciate all different genres of music, but it's the same time it has to say something to you, no matter where it's come from. The Stones, Keith Richards and Chuck Berry are from the same mother. Keith's songs and Keith and Mick's songs could have been Chuck Berry songs. And
Mm-hmm.
those, the lyrics and the feel of them are so simple, but the lyrics are so timeless.
Well, do you remember back when Metallica did One, and they did that video on MTV, and it was just chilling. It was about that guy who didn't have a face, and it was like he went to fight a war and he didn't have a face. And I know that Queensryche did their Operation Mindcrime, and they're trying to tell a story. And sometimes those albums work. I mean, I know Styx had concept albums, and I was just talking about Kiss. They had The Elder, but The Elder flopped. But a lot of these concept albums telling stories, there's a lot of, I think, that missing. And like I said, when I think about Charlie Daniels, and you were writing and producing for that company, Charlie Daniels, I still to this day know the story of the Kegel Boys was white trash. They lived over on Carver's Creek. And I know exactly the story, and I know that, he would bury his money in mason jars in the back of the swamp, and the young guys went to find the money and they ended up sinking in the quicksand. And I'm like going, oh my gosh, this is such a great, somebody should make a movie of this. This is such a great story. And I was just so moved by that. And then of course, like I said, Gordon Lightfoot and Edmund Fitzgerald and now this. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and listen to this because, I want to hear Rendlesham, and I want to hear, because I just want to hear the stories being told, because again, that's theater of the mind. Something is missing, I think.
It's fun. It's very satisfying to finally get a lyric, because once I get a lyric written on one of these, especially the ufology songs, I would call Jerry and read it to him over the phone. He go, man, I think you've told the story. And the nice thing about it is that none of the vocals are complicated. It's not like acrobatic singing. It's not like showing your chops. It's like, just like you said, speak singing. It's almost like James Taylor, where instead of somebody yelling at you, they're actually singing in a certain style, and you're leaning in to hear them sing. They're drawing you into it. So if you get a chance to listen to Revolution or Lost Time Highway, or the song for Travis, The Fire in the Sky, or Roswell, I can't remember. I think it's Jesse Marcel Jr. I became friends with him on Facebook, and I sent him
Just a genuine guy he was, right? I love Jesse Marcel Jr.
He seemed to be a very nice guy. When I sent him a video of Roswell, and he said, I'm so appreciative that somebody took the time to do this. And he said, what do I owe you? I went, we didn't do it for money. We did it because it needed to be done.
Right.
And we got 5 done right now, and we're thinking about 5, 6 and 7, but we're not sure which story to tell.
I forgot another song, Megadeth's Hangar 18. Did you ever hear that song?
No.
Yeah, you should hear it. Megadeth. Dave Mustaine was really into this sort of stuff too. He, writing songs about aliens, UFOs, conspiracy theories. He does that every once in a while. And so when you listen to a Megadeth song, sometimes you're listening to some of his thoughts about, UFOs and aliens and things like that. It's crazy.
Wow, I have to check that out.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a Fleetwood Mac song that Bob Welch wrote? Oh gosh, what's the name? Hypnotized.
Oh yeah, that was one of I would call it a Halloween song, Hypnotized by Bob Welch when he was with Fleetwood Mac. One of the songs to this day that scares me around this time of year is Blood Rock's DOA. Do you ever remember that song? We were talking about flying planes. Oh my God. That song, if you listen to it in a dark room, you're terrified. It's just, the singer describing what it's like to die is just crazy. Oh my God.
It serves its purpose.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Storytelling in a song. Alice Cooper used to do that too. He did, Steven, the idea that this crazy kid, is like, but there's nothing, he's, oh my gosh. It's just the storytelling in music and the horror aspects of music. Sometimes, the horror music That really impressed me too. That's why I really like Alice Cooper. I mean, Zombie does that too. Rob Zombie does it, but he does it in more of a testosterone-filled rock and roll, take no prisoners, no holds barred type of stuff. And it's hard to get that spook. But what he is he's basically the B movie version of. And I love the B movie stuff. I'm a big fan of old Universal films, and that was my life. Growing up with Lon Chaney, growing up with Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, and I'd like to, and Rob's doing that he's doing that really well. But see, I don't think people understand the essence of that and how magical, again, we use the word magical, how magical it is to hear songs about Roswell, or hearing songs about Rendlesham, or hearing songs about what Calvin Parker went through when they had the Pascagoula, Mississippi incident there, when they were fishing and they got taken up by these aliens. And again, if they're going to make a movie about this, they really need to hurry and do it, because we've always seen the Betty and Barney Hill story being depicted, even in Project Blue Book, that History Channel show. They kind of blew it there, but and now we're looking at American Horror Story. They're bringing back the alien, and I'm hearing more about abductions. And Sammy Hagar just came out and said that he was abducted. We knew this because he wrote a lot of songs about, contact is all it takes. Love comes walking in. He talked about his abduction experience in the 1960s. So, I mean, a lot of that, I remember Flock of Seagulls. They too said that the song I Ran is about alien abduction. So, there's so many songs that are about alien abduction and stories like this. I'm glad that you're paving the way for that. I really am. That's
bizarre that you said Flock of Seagulls, because one of the sound designs I was working on yesterday, when Ron called, I had just hung up the phone and talking to Jerry. And what I do, I'll lay out down all the keyboards, especially on these sound designs where there's no vocals. It's just, just colors as far as keyboards. Uh-huh. And so when I called Jerry over in Arcs, I said, I'm going to send this track to you for you to do your guitar parts. I said, just think Flock of Seagulls. And he knew automatically the type of guitar that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And it's like double note, triple note leads that are almost like just chords, but it's the different versions of chords played against, a chord progression bed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the reasons.
Gary Newman did that. Are you familiar with Gary Newman? He did that too.
Dreamweaver and no, Gary,
that's Gary Wright. Gary Newman did Cars, that song Cars. Okay. And so if you listen to all of his albums, he does that too. He does that experimental chord stuff. Oh my gosh, we're going to go to another break. I'm talking to Johnny Cobb. It's an amazing experience for me, and I hope you're enjoying this. We'll be back with more with Johnny Cobb right here on Channel Weird. Don't go away. On the phone with me is Ronnie from GetTheTea.com. Hey, Ronnie, it is the tea that makes you go, I know this because I use it. My favorite is pomegranate. What kind of flavors are there to choose from with this wonderful tea?
You can do pomegranate. You can do just the straight, which is real good. And also we have a mint, a peppermint. People really love that one too. And we have a couple new flavors on the way, which I will not discuss yet, but they're coming.
A lot of people don't know that peppermint is a very, very good supplement to keep the stomach happy. It relaxes the intestines, and once again, it makes you feel better because it allows them to move around and get that stuff out of you, that bad stuff out of you.
Absolutely. This is a digest mover. So people have a hard time digesting stuff, or you get something stuck, or maybe you're a real heavy meat eater. The tea is wonderful. That's why it's tagline, the tea that makes you go.
If I want my life to change and get the tea, where do I go to get it?
GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Fantastic. Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis. Have you ever wanted Ground Zero merchandise but didn't know where to go? Well, I want to let you know that we now have our own online store with such items as t-shirts, hoodies, decals, tote bags, and other exclusive specialty apparel. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. Coming soon will be signed posters and coffee mugs available as we are constantly adding new items. So shop today at the official Ground Zero store by going to groundzeromerch.com. That's groundzeromerch.com.
It's all over the news, food shortages and scarcity in the supply chain. And the reality is nobody truly knows what might happen in the near future. Hi, I'm Clyde Lewis, and I want to let you know that it's a good idea to plan ahead so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We highly recommend My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. They provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, their foods will be there when you need them most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. They have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from, along with a variety of other survival products. If the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. After you order from My Patriot Supply, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep. Prepare today, because time is short. Go to preparewithgroundzero.com. That's preparewithgroundzero.com.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
It's a well-known fact that controversial talk show hosts have recently been censored and even banned on the internet by corporate and political interests. Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero. And in order to counter the suppression of information, we've decided to create our own private digital playground called Aftermath. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring a social media platform, videos, audio clips, archive shows, research groups, documents, and a news aggregator. In addition, we're hosting other Ground Zero friendly podcasts like Conspirafact with Wes and Bill, Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, Parawareness with Mr. Gates and Isaac Weishaupt, Opposing Perspective with James Ponder, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine, and several more shows. Mobile apps for Android and Apple are available too. The monthly subscription for Aftermath is only $10 a month. And don't forget to check out the yearly specials, including the Friends and Family Pass with 1 main account and 3 sub-accounts. Sign up now by going to aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
To my soul, supernatural touch that makes my blood boil. She's a for-a-life lover, sent from down below. Her furnace door opens, thunder crashes, my fever rises, lightning flashes. She comes in the night, caught in a cloud of smoke.
Johnny Cobb with us.
She said, jump.
Oh, listen to this. I'm loving this one. This is a good one, Johnny. Oh, yeah.
I got some red hot loving cooking in my oven.
There's some funky stuff going on there, Johnny. I mean, that's some funk. A little bit of funk, a little bit of pop. What do you say to that? That's Jump Into the Fire, right? That's the name of the song.
Yeah, that's. I'll tell you the story about that. When I was living in Nashville one afternoon, I was actually writing for Sound 70, Charlie Daniels Company. The song plug over there called said, Etta James is in town recording with legendary producer Barry Beckett. I went, okay, you need to write a song. And because they're going to be recording for the next week or so. So I remember standing in the kitchen. I had already started this riff. I'd already started that.
Yeah.
And so I stood there by the counter and I wrote all the verses, probably about, in real reality, maybe a couple hours. And then I went upstairs, put my vocal on this rough demo I had. The next morning, I took it to the office, gave it to Doug, the song plugger. That afternoon, he called back and went, Johnny Cobb, I got some good news for you. He said, the good news is you got a cut with Etta James. I said, are you kidding me? And he said, you got an icon that's going to record one of your songs. He said, bad news is it's a closed session. And, nobody's allowed to come in except Etta and Barry and the engineer. But it came out on her 7-Year Itch album, and it was nominated for a Grammy that year. So I felt very honored once again to be associated with, like the Allman Brothers. They're like a legendary Southern rock band, and associated with Etta. The only thing I regret is I had a song perfect for Ray Charles, but we never could get the song to him. And but like you said, some of these people are there's some in room temperature a lot similar than you'd hope.
Yeah.
So
well, that's the thing is we're all getting older, and the music is, so it's so close yet it's so far away, and we need more. I think somehow, some way, we need to resurrect some of this what I call this nostalgia, because everything else seems like a simulation. It just does. It's I look back and I say, how was it before all of this mess we're in? And there's no rebellion anymore in music. We need to find a way to capture that rebellion and to tell the stories and to do all that. And I'm hoping that someone, somehow, somewhere, like the Beatles, comes in and just basically wipes it all away and says, here we are. We're going to tell the stories again. We're going to latch on to, the spirit and the soul. We're losing spirit and soul in a lot of the music right now. Some people out there, though, have got it. I was listening to Adele the other day in a restaurant, and I was thinking, gosh, Adele is so great. What's that?
Pure vocals.
Oh, very, just beautiful vocals. And there's some people that just, and ABBA has come back, which I think is, the producers of ABBA, I've always felt that, ABBA is one of the best produced bands of all time.
Yeah.
The Carpenters were too. And like I say, I have a lot of musical tastes that span, a long way. And so, it makes it even more fun and interesting to be interviewing you because of the span of music that you do. And so what's next for you? You're going to continue to tell these stories. You're going to continue to find these topics. Like, ufology was huge. Is there anything else you want to dip into? Something that maybe you could dip into telling stories about cryptids, Mothman, maybe Bigfoot, maybe, that would be interesting if you could do some songs like that.
Thank you for the idea.
I would love it. My son is a big stepson is a big Mothman fan, so it'd be great to hear that. Yeah, he loves Mothman. He is just such into Mothman. And I'm saying, man, I love Mothman too. Mothman, you got the Bridge, you got the Mothman, you got the Men in Black, you got all that. So
I tell you what, when we finish, I'll send you a private message on mine of your messenger. I'll send you the 5 links to the 5 videos of the ufology songs if you've never seen it. Because basically, Jerry and I didn't have a budget to do a video, so basically I got the software and put these videos together, like manually. So you can imagine it takes hours and hours for each one of them. But I'll send you the link to those 5 songs just so you can see what we actually created visually with those songs.
Perfect. I'd love it. Yeah.
But Mothman, that might be song number 6.
Well, like I say, if you're doing the good storytelling with this music. And the UFO stuff is just fascinating, and I find it interesting that you did the Pascagoula thing, and you did. Of course, Roswell will be done, and Rendlesham has always been intriguing. It's I guess you could call it the British Roswell, and it's not only part of the story, but it's part of the spirit and the mythology that needs to be part of everything. The magic is the mythology. The magic is the story. The magic is the legend. And Bigfoot's always been legend to me. Mothman. D.B. Cooper is another one that the guy that got in the plane and basically, it's a great story. Some of these great stories are, I want to tell them, and I tell them over and over again because I think they're important. And I think, converting them over to music would be even more of a bonus, more of a plus.
Well, you give me some great ideas. I forgot about the D.B. Cooper thing. That would actually be a great song too.
I would tell the story of D.B. Cooper, tell the story of Mothman, tell the story of, encounters with Bigfoot, So I'm getting the music saying that we're going. I wish it was. I wish I could spend the whole afternoon, Johnny, but my gosh, we're gonna say goodbye for now, but I am looking forward to some great stuff from you and from everybody involved. So thank you so much for being on Channel Weird.
This has truly been an honor, Clyde, to actually meet you and share the afternoon with you.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. I'm sure. I want to talk more about these projects and these ideas because I think they'd be amazing. So,
well, thank you for the fruit talk too.
You bet. bet. Take care. Another Channel Weird in the can. And by the way, check out Johnny's work. It's amazing stuff. And we'll be back next week with another great show right here on Channel Weird. Take care. Bye-bye.